Hello, it's story time. And to go with our story today, I made us some popcorn. Have you made popcorn before? It's very easy to make on the stove, but you do need a grown-up to help because you need to have the oil quite high, quite hot. So here's a lovely big bowl of popcorn to share. There you go, all stick your hands in and get some. You got plenty? Okay. I grow it myself, the popcorn, in my garden. This is what it looks like before we pop it. Little dark blue kernels. And then, when it's popped, it becomes snowy white and really little. Pretty, huh? Okay, today's story is about a lovely little mouse called Chrysanthemum. Do you know this story? It's one of my favourites. By Kevin Henkes. The day she was born was the happiest day in her parents' lives. She's perfect, said her mother. Absolutely, said her father. And she was. She was absolutely perfect. All babies are. There she is, perfect and new. Her name must be everything she is, said her mother. Her name must be absolutely perfect, said her father. And it was. Chrysanthemum. Her parents named her Chrysanthemum. In her little cradle. Chrysanthemum grew and grew and grew, just like all babies do. And when she was old enough to appreciate it, Chrysanthemum loved her name. Here she is, doing all those things that we do as we grow up. She's learning to roll onto her tummy. She's learning to eat her food with a spoon. I think she's learning to walk here. And she's learning how to sit up in the bath and how to ride her bike and how to go down the slide. What else is she learning? Oh, how to read. Oh, she's learning lots of things, isn't she? She loved the way it sounded when her mother woke her up. Chrysanthemum. She loved the way it sounded when her father called her for dinner. Chrysanthemum! And she loved the way it sounded when she whispered it to herself in the bathroom mirror. Chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum. Chrysanthemum loved the way her name looked when it was written with ink on an envelope. She loved the way it looked when it was written with icing on her birthday cake. And she loved the way it looked when she wrote it herself with her big fat orange crayon. Chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum. Do you like writing your name? Chrysanthemum thought her name was absolutely perfect. And then she started school. On the first day, Chrysanthemum wore her sunniest dress and her brightest smile. She ran all the way. Hooray, said Chrysanthemum. School! But when Mrs. Chud took roll call, everyone giggled when they heard Chrysanthemum's name. They all have very plain names. There's a Don, an Eve, a Lois, Al, Les, Kay, Max, Sue, Bill, Pat, Tom, Sam, Ken, Joe, Rita, and Victoria. It's so long, said Joe. It scarcely fits on your name tag, said Rita. I'm named after my grandmother, said Victoria. You're named after a flower. Chrysanthemum wilted. She didn't think her name was absolutely perfect. She thought it was absolutely dreadful. There's Chrysanthemum looking very sad. And those little girls looking very mean. The rest of the day was not much better. During nap time, Victoria raised her hand and informed Mrs. Chutt that Chrysanthemum's name was spelled with 13 letters. That's exactly half as many letters as there are in the entire alphabet, Victoria explained. Thank you for sharing that with us, Victoria, said Mrs. Chutt. Now put your head down. Victoria needs to learn how to be a nicer mouse, doesn't she? If I had a name like yours, I'd change it, Victoria said as the students lined up to go home. Oh, I wish I could, thought Chrysanthemum miserably. Welcome home, said her mother. Welcome home, said her father. School has no place for me, said Chrysanthemum. My name is too long. It scarcely fits on the name tag. And I'm named after a flower. Oh, pish, said her mother. Your name is beautiful and precious and priceless and fascinating and winsome, said her father. It's everything you are, said her mother. Absolutely perfect, said her father. Oh, look at poor Chrysanthemum. Chrysanthemum felt much better after her favourite dinner, macaroni and cheese with ketchup, and an evening filled with hugs and kisses and parcheesi. There they are, having a lovely evening, and Dad's reading up on some parenting tips. That night, Chrysanthemum dreamed that her name was Jane. It was an extremely pleasant dream. Oh, poor Chrysanthemum. The next morning, Chrysanthemum wore her most comfortable jumper. She walked to school as slowly as she could. She dragged her feet in the dirt. Chrysanthemum, 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 she wrote. It's a bit clever, isn't it? I think I'd fall over if I tried to do that. She even looks like a flower, said Victoria, as Chrysanthemum entered the playground. Let's pick her, said Rita. Let's smell her, said Jo. Chrysanthemum wilted. Oh, she didn't think her name was absolutely perfect. She thought it was absolutely dreadful. The rest of the day was not much better. During nap time, Victoria raised her hand and said, A chrysanthemum is a flower. It lives in a garden with worms and other dirty things. Thank you for sharing that with us, Victoria, said Mrs. Chutt. Now put your head down. I don't actually think Mrs. Chutt's doing a very good job at this. I just cannot believe your name, Victoria said, as the students lined up to go home. Neither can I, thought Chrysanthemum miserably. Oh, this just isn't good, is it? No. Welcome home, said her mother. Welcome home, said her father. School is no place for me, said Chrysanthemum. They said I even looked like a flower, and they pretended to pick me and smell me. Oh, pish, said her mother. They're just jealous and envious and begrudging and discontented and jaundiced, said her father. Who wouldn't be jealous of a name like yours, said her mother. "After all," said her father, "it's absolutely perfect." Chrysanthemum felt a trifle better after her favourite dessert, chocolate cake with buttercream frosting, and another evening filled with hugs and kisses and more parcheesi and more parenting books for Dad. That night, Chrysanthemum dreamed that she really was a flower. She sprouted leaves and petals, and Victoria picked her and plucked the leaves and petals one by one until there was nothing left but a scrawny stem. It was the worst nightmare of poor Chrysanthemum's life. Chrysanthemum wore her outfit with 7 pockets the next morning. She loaded the pockets with her most prized possessions and her good luck charms. Chrysanthemum took the longest route possible to school. She stopped and stared at each and every flower. "Chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum," the flowers seemed to say. Oh, she does look worried, doesn't she? That morning, the students were introduced to Miss Twinkle, the music teacher. Her voice was like something out of a dream, as was everything else about her. The students were speechless. They thought Miss Twinkle was an indescribable wonder, and they went out of their way to make a nice impression. Look at Miss Twinkle. Isn't she fabulous? I do like her dress. Miss Twinkle led the students in scales. Then she assigned roles for the class musical. Victoria was chosen as the dainty fairy queen. Rita was chosen as the spiffy butterfly princess. Jo was chosen as the all-important pixie messenger. And Chrysanthemum was chosen as a daisy. "Chrysanthemum's a daisy, chrysanthemum's a daisy," Jo, Rita and Victoria chanted, thinking it was wildly funny. A bit dull, really, aren't they? Chrysanthemum wilted. Oh, she didn't think her name was absolutely perfect. She thought it was absolutely dreadful. "What's so funny?" asked Mrs. Twinkle. "Chrysanthemum," was the answer. "Her name is so long," said Jo. "It scarcely fits on her name tag," said Rita, pointing. "I'm named after my grandmother," said Victoria. "She's named after a flower." "My name is long," said Miss Twinkle. "It is," said Jo. "My name would scarcely fit on a name tag," said Miss Twinkle. "It would," said Rita. "And," said Miss Twinkle, "I'm named after a flower too." "You are?" said Victoria. "Yes," said Miss Twinkle. "My name is Delphinium, Delphinium Twinkle. And if my baby is a girl, I'm considering Chrysanthemum as a name. I think it's absolutely perfect." Chrysanthemum could scarcely believe her ears. Oh, she blushed. She beamed. She bloomed. Chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum. Jo, Rita and Victoria looked at Chrysanthemum longingly. "Call me Marigold," said Jo. "I'm Carnation," said Rita, pointing. "My name is Lily of the Valley," said Victoria. Chrysanthemum did not think her name was absolutely perfect. She knew it. I'm so glad to see her looking happy again. and confident. Epilogue. Epilogue means a little bit of the story that comes at the end. Overall, the class musical was a huge success. Chrysanthemum was the perfect daisy. Victoria made the only mistake. She completely forgot her lines as the dainty fairy queen. Chrysanthemum thought that was wildly funny, and she giggled throughout the entire dance of the flowers. Eventually, Miss Twinkle gave birth to a healthy baby girl, and of course, she named her Chrysanthemum. The end. There's so many things to talk about after you read Chrysanthemum, but I think one of the most important things for me is that this book reminds us the power of wonderful teachers. Because there are always horrible people wherever you go, and it's never okay, but it's always important that there is someone wonderful who stands up and does the right thing, and that's what Miss Twinkle did. So, have a bit more popcorn. Not too much, you don't want to spoil your dinner. And maybe have a talk with Mum and Dad about Chrysanthemum. Okay, see you later.